Good afternoon, everyone. This is Kiersten Hall with Pointe Publishing again, and today we are having a virtual book launch for AJ Sullivan. She has got her new book out called Bobby Bear Goes Fishing. And AJ, you want to say hi? There you go.
Hi, this is my new book. It's the very first of the Bobby Bear books.
That is true, and that's like what, one out of 10? I mean,
at least 10.
Yeah, at least.
Maybe more.
It's a big series. Bobby Bear has quite an adventure and everything.
He does.
Yes, he does. And then we are also sitting here with Thea Kvamme today. She has her book, her first book, Mousetracken, which is, hold please. Okay, I'm back. Mousetracken, and this is actually not even really the final cover, but this book just went to the printers for proofs yesterday. So it should be in all of our mailboxes by either Friday or next Monday. And just in time, she's actually got a virtual book launch with us again on August 18th at 6 p.m. Same time, same channel, different date, different person. There you go. And then, all right. And then we also have with us Lydia Niebuhr. She has got actually 3 books coming out. The first one is The Sand Dancer is being republished. And oh, there she goes. Oh, good, you got books. Good job.
This is the old cover.
Yep.
Got a beautiful new one designed by Becca.
Yes, Becca. She's done a lovely job.
Yep, and she's designed the covers for all 3 of the series that I've already written. So
exactly. The Sand Dancer comes out towards the end of September, early October. The next one is The Hitchhiker, also being republished, and you've got a copy of that there.
You bet.
Yep, there it is. And yep, and different cover on that also with that Becca did. That'll come out the end of October, early November. And then the third one in the series is called The Badge, and that should be out in December. And I hear there's one more book in that series, correct?
There's one more book in that series. I've got the idea together, finally settled on the title for it, because sometimes it works better if I know the title.
Okay.
But then I'm hoping that at some point we republish this one too. This is the only historical fiction one that I have, which is approved.
And that's Sarah's New Moon, right?
Sarah's New Moon, Minnesota history.
I've heard really good things about that, so I'm looking forward to that as well. So that'll probably be a 2021 thing. And actually, you've got what, 11 other books?
Yeah, well, I don't know if I can tilt this down. I can't, I've got too many cords here. I have 11 books that I wrote for middle grade.
Okay.
They're shorter, they're like 25 to 30,000 word books. First chapter books, chapters are only like 3 to 4 pages or so.
Okay.
But handling kind of topics that kids that age handle.
Okay.
Parents getting divorced, illnesses and stuff like that. But then after 11 of those, I switched to the historical fiction. And then after that, I switched to the young adult mystery. This started with The Sand Dancer.
Okay. Well, and actually for everyone out there, if you get on to foxpointepublishing.com, Point of course is with an E, because we got to be fancy around here, but foxpointepublishing.com, click on professionals at the top, scroll down, you'll see all these lovely ladies. Click on any of their pictures, you'll go to their webpage and you'll see all their books. The other person that was going to join us too this evening was Helen Holder, but she is busy today. And her book, An Unusual Tale, will be out here the mid to late August, and it actually goes to the printers tomorrow for that proof. So we have all sorts of things going on. All right, and then of course, I am Kiersten Hall, and I also write a bunch of stuff too. Let's see, I've got 4 books out, but I've got 2 more coming out in September, and we'll do virtual book events for all of that as well. But tonight, what we're going to do, now the rule of the game here is AJ is going to start off reading a couple of pages out of Bobby Bear, and then we're going to open up the floor for questions. There's a little chat box in your Facebook Live. You can just ask questions, and that'll get relayed to me. Every time you ask a question, you get entered into a drawing, and I've actually got 5 books to give away tonight. I'm going to give away a paperback of Jelly Beans. This is one of my books. And that is good for ages 0 to 6, basically. I'm giving 3 copies of Bobby Bear away, and that is good for ages 4 to 8. And I'm giving 1 copy of David's Pretzels away, which is also good for 3 to 7 crowd. And so every 10 minutes about, we have one other person on this call. We call him the Wizard of Oz because he sits at his computer in a completely different room, facilitating all this. He's going to pull out a name, and then we will announce a winner. We'll get together and I'll mail out your books tomorrow. It'll be great. Now, if you happen to be an international winner, I'm going to send you an EPUB because postage, well, that's expensive. And there you go. But all right, so off we go. AJ, do you want to start reading your book?
Sure. The book is called Bobby Bear Goes Fishing. It's kind of glary. There. So, the holiday bears, Mommy, Daddy, and Grampy live in a little cabin in the woods in Friendship Village on the shores of Lake Watushi with their little cub, Bobby. Bobby just turned 5 years old last week. Mommy had taught him how to gather food in the forest and then to clean the roots and berries before the family would eat them. But what Bobby really wanted to do was fish. Often he went to the shed in the backyard to watch Grampy clean the fish that he caught. And you can see him here fishing into the berries because he wanted to fish so badly. Yeah, this is... And here you can see Grampy in his red truck. Grampy, Bobby shouted, seeing Grampy's big red truck bounding down the dirt path. You went fishing again, Bobby crossed his arms and scowled. Without me. Yes, Bobby, I did. Grampy smiled and patted Bobby's head before he started unloading the fish. But Grampy, I'm 5 now. When will I get to go fishing? Well, little cub, we have to ask your daddy, but he was 5 the first time he went. Bobby ran after Grampy as he headed to the shed and watched him dump the fish on the counter. When Grampy cut the first fish open, Bobby saw the insides and wrinkled his nose. Ew! I'll go ask Daddy now. Bobby ran as fast as he could to the cabin, shouting, Daddy, the whole way. More or no?
Well, we'll start off with questions. First of all, if there's anyone out there on Facebook Live and you've got a question for AJ or about Bobby Bear or her author writing techniques or whatever, be sure to put them in the chat box, and we'll start working on giving away books. And then also, if you have any questions for either Thea or Lydia or myself, Helen's not here, so don't ask her a question. We could make stuff up, I suppose. But okay, all right. Thea, do you have a question to start the show off with?
Yeah, you said you spoke many languages. What languages do you speak?
Well, English for one, Russian, German, and Spanish.
Okay.
And are you
Strange
still,
combination, I know.
are you still pretty proficient at them?
I'm more proficient in the Spanish because I use it more often, but I have had visitors to my office at the high school that speak both Russian and German, and the people I spoke with were shocked that I was able to speak those languages.
Oh, I bet.
It's kind of fun.
I bet. Not normally would you run into that. All right. And Lydia, do you have a question?
Yeah. What prompted that series? I mean, obviously all your books are the same characters in different situations, like the fishing and other things. What prompted that? What prompted you to write stories like that?
Well, this particular series on Bobby, I do have other books. I have books that are adult that are mysteries as well. But in this series, my children were 3 and 6. And I told them these stories 30-something years ago. And now I have grandchildren that are older than that. So it all stemmed out of me trying to give them little lessons. So Bobby came to life that way. And the first one is about having a relationship with your grandparents, which I think is really important.
All right, the first question up is Isabella, and she wants to know how you came up with the idea for Bobby Bear. Okay, so we know it was your kids telling stories to kids, but how did Bobby Bear pop in as your way to...
I have no idea. It just came into my head. And what's really funny is that when I did the first story for my kids, I knew right then that all of the characters would be a first name, a middle initial that together makes a whole name. So Bobby, Grampy, Mommy and Daddy are just Mommy and Daddy. Later you'll be introduced to Lincoln and Patsy and Eddie.
Mhm.
So you put the middle initial with the first name and it creates a name. I don't know why, just I creative is my strong suit, I guess.
Okay. And with Bobby Bear, all the situations, are those pretty much after people in your family? So
Kind of. Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, cool. All right, we have another question also from Isabella. When did you know you wanted to publish your books?
I wanted to publish them then, and I was not confident in my abilities. And I've spent several years looking for an illustrator. I can draw, I can paint, but I can't illustrate. People, I do landscapes or still life, but not this kind of thing. So I've spoken with quite a few artists and they're all like, well, maybe. And then just by chance, I ended up with Kayla and she did a wonderful job.
Yeah, Kayla is very excited to be working in the Bobby Bear series and any other kind of illustrating things that you've got coming up. You mentioned that you've got other books out. What kind of genres, or do you write for everyone? And
Well, there's a book coming out again based on real life where my children's father was being transferred from California to North Carolina. And we decided to drive the northern route across the country because my dad lived in Buffalo, New York. And when we stayed the night in Yellowstone, in the morning, 2 flies got in the car and they stayed with us until Buffalo. Seriously. Even while I was riding in the car, I was writing the book.
don't you know those flies were just a smidge bit confused when they got out in Buffalo, New York? They were like, wow, there's something different here.
Exactly. So,
Exactly.
and then the others, I have mysteries. So far, they've been mostly about women and teenage girls.
Okay.
So,
And you've got a young adult STEM
oh yeah,
coming up.
sorry.
Oh, and you're
It's
going to
called
start.
Sunny with Freckles. Imagine that.
Mm-hmm.
Because my first major in college was math. I was into computers when we had to use Fortran and cards
Mm-hmm.
to use on the computer. And then I was very much into math. So I knew STEM before STEM was STEM.
Well, exactly.
And so I did all sorts of crazy experiments in my garage. And my parents just chose not to look.
And the house still stands.
Well, I have lived in, it's 12 states, but I have been in every state except Alaska, Hawaii, and the state of Washington.
Okay. Okay. And I got some laughter from Lydia. Were you doing experiments in your garage too?
Yeah, well, it was called our summer kitchen, and my mother just chose not to enter. She didn't, you know, I had just enough early chemistry. This is when I was in grade school, and to be dangerous. But so much of what you said, you know, I was in science and math and all that in college too when I got there, but I started writing for my children as well. I had my second child came home from school. He taught himself to read before he went to school. He came home one day from second grade and all he could say was, "I am not going to read Pippi Longstockings." But there weren't any books for boys. So I started writing them. Of course, now he's way into his 40s and he's never looked at them. But you know, that's how it started. But what you were saying is so much was like parallel to the way I grew up, and you know, it got into the writing kind of thing too. So it was kind of interesting.
Well, and I ended up designing light fixtures for hospitals.
Well, there you go.
That's very much STEM.
See, I went into, when I graduated with my master's, I went into first medical research at the University of Minnesota, got transferred down here to in Austin to the Hormone Institute, was there a year. Then I went over to the Hormone Company Research and Development. And believe it or not, for about 17 years, I spent my time developing ingredients for cosmetic companies.
Okay.
Which,
Well, now there you'd mentioned you were babysitting like a cooler or a freezer or something.
my very first book, we had a gelatin plant in Davenport, and a lot of the ingredients I was developing were from the byproducts of the production at the plant, and gelatin was a byproduct. So anyway, I had to be in this cooler because I had to watch the centrifuge, but because it was a test, it was a small thing, I had to keep emptying it out. I never had time to go from where I was working to someplace warm, because you work in a cold room. And so the guys felt sorry for me. They put a pallet up on one of the racks, and so I could sit with my feet off the cement floor. And they always gave us these little pocket notebooks we could take notes in. And I started writing this book, and within the week, the first book, The Phantom of Cherry Hill, was finished. I just kept writing because, you know, what else could I do? I mean, you can only watch a centrifuge for so long before you do something. So, yeah, but I had to stay in the room, so that's why they put this rack up. But yeah, it was in a cold room. And
Well, you gotta keep moving so you don't freeze. Keep the energy going.
You know, like that's why they put this wooden pallet up on the rack, so my feet were off the floor. But every once in a while, one of the guys would come in there and run hot water on the floor just so there'd be some steam too.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah, they're nice guys to work with down there. Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to give our first copy of Bobby Bear away, and that's going to go to Isabella Gerleman. And I know where you live. I shouldn't say it that way. I know where you live. No, I already have your address. She's already won a couple of books, so I will send that out to her tomorrow. I will leave my house to go to the post office tomorrow. All right, so Brad, can you tell us how many people are watching right now? Oh, he's typing. Currently 2. Oh my God, am I on? I'm live on. Okay, well, all right. Well, of the 2, Isabella already won a book. So if the other one asks a bunch of questions, good shooting chance you're probably going to win a book. And the second book is going to be Jelly Beans. Okay, all right. Well, I have a question for AJ now. Where was the first place? I mean, okay, now we know that Lydia was sitting in a cooler with gelatin and steam coming off the floor for her first book. But where were you the first time you wrote your first book?
I was in Spain.
Okay.
Where I was stationed when I was in the Navy.
Okay.
And I also sat in a cold room, only it was a computer mainframe.
Okay.
Couldn't put water on the floor there.
No.
That's a bad idea.
But I had to smile when you were talking about Fortran and cards and all that. That's how I started in computers.
Yep. Does that make us old?
No, just wiser, because we were on the ground floor of that.
Oh, okay.
Now, I don't know if I worked with it, but I do know what you guys are talking about. So I'm just a little There you go.
The
All right.
punch cards.
Yeah, exactly. I know what you're talking about there. Do you, AJ, do you still have the first book that you wrote in the mainframe room in Spain?
Ooh,
Do you know
probably not at this point.
Okay. Okay. Well, all right, Thea, where were you when you first wrote your first book?
I don't know. I've been writing since I can remember, so probably in my room.
Yeah, let's see, where was I? I was in my office and I was doing a brain dump because I had to date have videotaped over 1,403 weddings. And so you see a lot of stuff. Yeah. And I wanted to get it out of my head because there were so many neat things I had seen and they're funny and it's just wow. And just all the crazy stuff I had seen over the 15 years I was in it. But I wanted to write it all down because one, great stories. Two, I know that when you get older, you forget things. And it's true. And so it's good. Yeah. So now I read the book. I'm like, oh yeah, totally forgot about that. So I'm really glad I wrote that down. Yeah. And I just know that later in life, these things will come to me and I'll be sitting in the rocking chair in the corner and I'll be laughing up a storm about all the different things I've ever seen. People just think I'm crazy and I'll be like, just read the book. It's in the book. And of course, they'll probably think I'm still crazy, but whatever. All right. And okay, so Thea, do you have another question for AJ?
Do you have a favorite book from when you were a child?
Where the Red Fern Grows.
Good book.
Yes, I loved that book. And then I loved the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To me, it was just very touching and very much about love.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and Lydia, do you have another question?
I did, and it just popped out. That's another age.
Yep. I know the feeling.
Oh, I was going to say, for anybody, when I grew up, and I grew up on a farm, all of my dad's relatives were around us. Within 5 miles, I think I had all his, aunts and uncles, great aunts and uncles, and all of that sort of thing. So, but then when I moved down here to Austin, married a, Blooming Prairie native, lived in the Austin area here, our children are the same way. They know all of their Yuan relatives. But my parents are gone, and so they don't have the oral history for them like my husband gives to our children. So one year I took the time, and their Christmas present was a book called FYI, and it was my life from birth till marriage.
Nice.
Wow.
And it tells, because I grew up in a German community, which is totally different in the Norwegian kind of thing here. And it gave, how the relationship with several generations, types of schools I went to, and all that was so different from what they had, and even from what my husband had here. So, and I'm a real proponent of people writing their history. You don't have to publish it. I did it just because it was a good Christmas present, but it gives them, and I put a little genealogy in the back, just very basic, just something so that I just had to do it. I felt I wanted them to know about my family, but they never, they don't sit still and listen to me. They sit still and listen to their dad because they know all the Yuans. They know what he's talking about. So yeah, I really believe people should do that. I think that's the greatest thing to pass on to your children and your grandchildren is memories. And like you talked about the memories from weddings and stuff like that, or things. It's the same kind of thing with your everyday life when you're growing up. Maybe there's something that is particular that your parents did, a tradition that I had that they didn't have here, stuff like that. I think that's important. I think people should think about that.
Yes, I've begun writing that.
Yeah, that would be a great idea. I mean, I've got a relative who is really in depth in all the genealogy stuff and whatever. And so she's figured out a lot of stuff on my dad's side of the family that I really don't know a whole lot of people on. And it's a great it's a treat because, you know, you're just learning new stuff that, I mean, I could tell you anything about my mom's generations back, you know, 4 or 5, but really, my kids though will ask me, you know, who's this, how's this, you know, where do we live, you know, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, so, you know, one of these days I'll do that. I've got to get to that. All right, so I do have another question. Okay, Isabella's going to take all the books. I'll just send all the books to Isabella, apparently. All right, she writes, who is your favorite author? So we are going to each answer this, but we'll start off with AJ. Who's your favorite author?
It's changed over the years. I always loved Louise May Alcott, and then I found out I'm related to her.
Oh.
And I don't know, I have quite a few now. I like mysteries. Balducci, Grisham, there's quite a few.
Okay. All right, Thea, who's your favorite author?
Well, I like the romance novels, of course. But there's one, I think her name is Sherry Lapina. It's kind of mystery, love type stories. I've just gotten into those, so.
Okay. And Lydia, how about you?
Well, when I was young, you know, the Little House on the Prairie books were my favorite. As I started, lately, William Kent Kruger is by far my favorite author right now. I've gotten to meet him several times and I really enjoyed him. He's and I like his style, the way he writes, you know, and his books carry on for years, you know, through family lives. And I kind of took some of that for when I started writing, because my books have connections. My books are standalone, but they also have connections.
Okay. All right, my favorite, my most favorite would be Irma Bombeck. She has been my favorite. I was a weird kid. She has been my favorite since about 2nd or 3rd grade. She's just funny. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, just Google Irma Bombeck and then read all of her books and you will laugh and you'll have a great day. And then from there, I like Shel Silverstein with,
The attic.
And where the sidewalk ends and you know, all that good fun stuff. And I would read all of those poems in different voices, and you know, to my kids, like ickle me, pickle me, tickle me too, all flew away in a shoe, or whatever it was. Well, it would be ickle me, pickle me, tickle me too, all flew away in a high heeled shoe. And I would do the ickle me, pickle me, and then I'd go tickle me too, and you know, the kids would be laughing and whatever. So Shel Silverstein, Hunter Thompson, the one that Fear and Loathing, Las Vegas, and that was the gonzo journalist that he coined. I like that kind of stuff. And actually, I got off an email last night, and I think I sent all of you guys this stuff. Jacob Appel. And he does a lot of short stories. He's a playwright and all that other fun stuff. But his short stories I really like, mainly because I don't have a long time to sit down and read a book. I would love to, but there's just no time. But I read his books, and they're raw and they're dark and they're odd, mainly odd, and they're well written, and they're just fun to read. So. Now I have 4 favorite authors. I cheated. I added one more in. So, okay, we're going to give Isabella the Jelly Beans book. So now I'm sending 2 books to her. Well, put it this way. If there's anyone on this, really the rule of the game is ask a question. More than likely, you have a good shooting chance at getting a free book, which is pretty cool. All right. Thea, do you have any questions?
I can't think of any more at the moment.
Well, Isabella's coming in with another question. Okay, we're just going to send all the books to Isabella's house. Okay. All right. She asks, if you could, would you ever have your books turned into movies?
I think the Bobby Bear books would make a really cute animated
Like a
series.
cartoon series?
Yeah.
I would.
The mysteries that are for adults, those could easily be turned into movies. Not sure about the flies, but even Sunny with Freckles would make a good series as well. And that could be live action or cartoon.
Exactly.
That would be
Thea,
fun.
oh yeah, no, that's gotta keep that up in mind. Thea, how about you? Would you turn Mouse Rocket into any kind of animated series?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'd love to, honestly, just to see it all in action.
Mm-hmm. Well, now we're gonna have to find an animator too. All right, and Lydia, how about for all of your 14, 15 books you've got?
Well, I think some of my early books would be kind of a good like hour and a half long kind of TV movie
Mm-hmm.
that's for kids, because I think some of them pertain to current situations for kids. I think that some of those would be pretty good. The mysteries, you know, you always dream, oh, this is going to be so great. Somebody's just going to grab it and make it a movie, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't mind if they did.
Well, one of Zach, who actually is my one of my children, actually, he has taken one of my books. I'm not going to say the title, but he's taken one of my books that I actually came up with in September of 2005. You know, so I get around to these things. But anyway, September of 2005 came up with this whole book, and I've been putting it together. He finally took it and he started to write a screenplay on it. And he is a theater and communications major, and so we'll see what he does with it. I've taken nearly 15 years, nearly 15 years to get around to it. So apparently 15 years, if you go past that, it moves on to the next family member. See, maybe he'll have better luck with it, or at least have more time. All right. Okay, well, put it this way. Brad, how many people do we have watching? Because Isabella's going to take all the books. Okay, now we have 3. Okay, so, all right, if you're watching and your name isn't Isabella, you have a good chance. if you can ask a question, you more than likely will win a free book. I've got 3 books left to give away. I've got 2 Bobby Bears and 1 David's Pretzels to give away. So if you can come up with a question, it could even be, what's your favorite color? Well, you know, you should probably do something more than that. But we'll see if anything else happens here. All right, so AJ, you've got Bobby Bear, and you've got the 2 flies, which is kind of an older thing. But for the
Finkel and Franny.
Yeah, Finkel and Franny is more of a 8 to 10-year-old?
No, maybe a little older.
Okay. And then do you have any other books or series ideas in your mind for the 4 to 8-year-old crowd?
Oh, I have several I'm playing with.
Okay.
I have to research and make sure no one else has done the same kind of thing.
Okay.
You know, I don't. One would be a mom and her daughter who lost their dad, and mom and daughter do gardening, and they sell their flowers to florists. That's one.
Okay.
And then there's one where the son or the boy lives with his grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
And he teaches him how to play baseball. He teaches him how to garden. He teaches him how to build birdhouses and that kind of thing. But it's another focus on intergenerational relationships.
Oh, that's an important thing too.
Yes,
Definitely.
and that doesn't happen enough these days.
Well, it didn't happen with me or my kids. Okay, now we're going to get into a whole.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take that. Never mind.
I was fortunate that my kids had a good relationship with my father.
Yeah.
And with their father's mother.
Okay. And all right, well, let's see. It is, what is it, 6:35. And Well, apparently no one wants to ask questions today. Today is apparently the no question day. All right, we'll put it this way. Thea, do you have anything that you want to say to anyone in YouTube world?
Always follow your dream.
And that your book, matter of fact, Thea's, like I said, Thea's virtual book launch will be August 18th for Mousedrachen. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Mousedrachen so we can?
It's about the Alzheimer's disease. My mom had Alzheimer's, and she had a little stuffed mouse that was Mr. Mousy that kind of calmed her down when she was having panic attacks or episodes, I guess they call them. And before she passed, I told her that Mr. Mousy would still go on adventures. And after she passed, I decided, well, what better way to have him go on adventures than to put him into a book? So I'm kind of having Mr. Mousy live on, even with my mother.
Well, from the following you have on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and stuff, Mr. Mousy's going to have quite the adventure, because I know a lot of people are looking forward to seeing this book. And it is a beautiful book, and it should be out, let's see. Well, as soon as she gets her proof, and if she okays on it, we go public, we publish, so it'll be like next week, so that'll be great. All right, Lydia, do you want to tell us about a quick synopsis or summary on the 3 books you have with Sand Dancer, Hitchhiker, and Badge?
Okay. The Sand Dancer is it was the girl, main character, was found at about the age of 2. She's an orphan. The city that she lives in sort of adopts her. They kind of keep track of her, but all of a sudden her life she's 20 years old, and her life is just falling apart because somebody is stalking her, and she doesn't know why, because she doesn't know her past. She doesn't know anything about her mother or father's family. So along comes this young detective who's helping solve the mystery, and his name is Thad Wheeler, and he helped solve that mystery. So in the next book, The Hitchhiker, he has now come from the St. Paul Police Department to move down to Prescott County, where this first book took place, and he's become a detective in the sheriff's department. And his first case is a death of a young boy they found at the bottom of the cliff, and they think it's suicide, and then they decide it's not. And so he's got to solve that murder, and he runs into all kinds of other difficulties to find this at the end. He develops a really good relationship with Carrie. Carrie, the orphan girl, is carried into the second book, just as Thad is. So I'm not going to tell you how it turns out, but I will say that most of my books kind of have a nice happy ending, because I can't write swear words. I can't write real gruesome scenes yet. I haven't gotten to that point, but I do like happy endings too. So then the third book, The Badge, Thad is there again, and one of his friends introduced in The Hitchhiker is now in The Badge with him. And so there's a family mystery in that one, and they've solved that, or they're I'm still editing that one. So The Badge will have those 2 characters. But now on the 4th book, which I already kind of outlined in my mind, or in those 2 o'clock in the morning when I can't sleep times, Thad will be in it, but I don't know which character I'm going to carry over from The Badge into the next book. Haven't worked that out yet, so, but I'll get there.
Okay. Well, cool. And then AJ, we know about Finkel and Franny and how they all of a sudden got to Buffalo, New York without them knowing. And so Bobby Bear, we've got, let's see, Bobby Bear, the next one, Becomes a Big Brother, should be out, I want to say November is about where that's at. Then Sunny with Freckles starts in September, October, if I'm remembering correctly, for editing.
Right.
And yeah, so that'll probably be in early 2021. And you've actually got a friend of yours is going to be illustrating that one. Do you want to say hi to her in case she's watching?
Hi, Angela. We worked together in lighting.
Oh, okay.
She was in marketing and I was in product development.
Yeah.
And she's a great illustrator. She's really good at it. And she did an initial sketch of Sunny with her bright red hair and lots of freckles. And it looks great. I'm really excited.
Yep, the illustrations look really well. And she's someone who can actually draw people, whereas there's a lot of us who can't. So we're good at still lifes and landscapes.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. The nice sunsets. All right, and then let's see, what do I have coming up next? I have one of my books is Jelly Beans Coloring and Activity book. It's 100 pages filled with jelly beans and stuff. So it's the 1-year celebration of jelly beans that came out in June of 2019, except it'll be in September. So it's really the 15-month anniversary. Anyway, things get done, but apparently not on a, okay, there you go. And then the second one I have coming out is The Blue Frog, which is a character that my mom actually made up when she was dealing with both myself and my sister. And so the Blue Frog creates a lot of havoc with all the hijinks that he pulls. And so that is also for the probably 3 to 7-year-old crowd. So anyway, and so there you go. All right, so anything else you guys want to say? We're good. Isabella, you get the David's Pretzels because you asked 3 questions and you're going to get 3 books, and I will mail those out to you tomorrow. Anything else that you guys want to say to everyone out in the world?
Well,
Okay.
I'll just say one thing. You set up Ray as my editor. She must have been very frustrated when she first read mine. I've learned so much from her. I really, really enjoy working with her right now. But you know, coming out of the science world, everything was facts. And she's teaching me to put emotions and feelings more than I have before. I think, and we're just working on the Sand Dancer right now, just finishing that one up. I'm hoping the other 2 will be better. But I just, there was so much. I mean, like I said, she must have been frustrated going, oh my God, you know. And I really, really appreciate you hooking me up with her.
Well, you're sure welcome. I haven't heard a lot, but Ray had briefly told me something in July, just pointing out some of the different things. She doesn't talk to me nearly as much as she would talk to Chelsea, for example, who is the project manager of everything. But I did tell her that you come from a very scientific, mathematical background. And she goes, oh, I could tell that. So,
yeah, I'm sure it comes through very strongly. So.
Oh, yeah, no. But she enjoys reading. She's already read Sand Dancer and she's read Hitchhiker. She read both. Yeah, she already read both of those, but wanted to get a feel and then put you in the right direction of where to go on all those. But good. I'm glad you're enjoying working with her.
It's going great. I mean, I know I need to get the Sand Dancer finished. I had to be in the hospital this morning for 4 hours, so I didn't get time on my computer. But I got like 17 pages of my original pages to go through, and then I can send it off to her. And,
okay. Yeah, she has been editing books professionally, not just from us, but I actually found her. She's a freelancer and has been doing it for 4 or 5 years now. She has her very own company that she does this for everyone. And I actually found her on Twitter and I said, ooh, please come help us. Yeah, unfortunately she has.
I can tell that she's very experienced. I mean, I feel everything she tells me, it's good. It's good for me. She's not just reading it and saying, well, I think maybe this. I mean, she's very definite about this should happen, that happened, and guiding me through that. And I really, really, really appreciate that.
Well, good. I will let her know. And then, of course, hopefully she will have a chance to watch this and then you'll kind of tell her in a quasi-personal way there through the video. There you go. All right. And then, AJ, do you want to say anything before we sign off?
Well, grandchildren relationships are super important. And I know it made a big difference in my children's life. It made a difference in my life. My grandfather was 6'8"
Wow.
and did not even weigh 200 pounds. So we used to call him skinny, and he would say, I am not skinny, I'm slender. And he lost his first wife to a stroke when she was in her 50s, and then he remarried, and this second wife wouldn't let us have candy. So he always had candy in his pocket, and he would slip it to us without her knowing. And we got it and realized we had to just slip it into our pocket and go somewhere else to eat it. But he was quite the character, and he passed when I was a senior in high school. And then it was weird that my father passed when my youngest son was a senior in high school. But I think those relationships are super important.
Yep. All right. And then for me, we will keep doing these fun-filled videos. Let's see, August 10th, which is Monday, August 10th, next Monday. Carmen Tribbett, the author of the Monster Dog book series, her last book, Tossie's Diary, came out on March 25th, right as the world was going into the whole closing up for COVID and all that. And it was before we were doing any of these virtual events. So we are going to do the Better Late Than Never virtual book launch for Tossie's Diary, which came out in March. And actually, she's got her fourth book, excuse me, fourth book called Lessons Learned, the Monster Dog, the Lessons Learned. And then she's actually got her fifth book, which is a nonfiction caretaker's book for Alzheimer's, coming out the beginning of 2020. And then she also has, beginning of 2021. And she has her fifth Monster Dog book series around Tossie that'll be out middle of 2021. So she's just keeping busy. First, she wasn't going to write any books, but then she got bored sitting in her house with everyone else who's getting bored. So we're all writing books is what we're doing. But anyway, August 10th at 6 p.m. on this, books by Pointe Publishing, and we'll go Facebook Live again. Then August 18th, which is a Tuesday again, we're back here with Thea for Mousedrachen. And then August 25th, which is a Tuesday, we'll be back with An Unusual Tale, which is Helen Holder's newest book for August coming out, part of the hashtag the Helen Holder collection. I tease her about it. She's got a hashtag. There you go. And that is about it. And then Lydia will be with us in September for the Sand Dancer, and we've got a bunch of other stuff. So please, if you happen to have a chance, get onto YouTube, look up Pointe Publishing, click subscribe, and then all of these notifications will be coming up with all the different videos that we do. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Have a fabulous day in your neighborhood. Ciao. Bye.
Bye.